Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Earthlings on planet Earth, everywhere. Hope you're all having as good a day as you possibly can. The subject matter for today's video is going to be a bit of all sorts, but mostly Elon Musk. Now, Elon is a character that I've been aware of, but I've not really looked into him until a couple of years ago. I started to become interested in him and the way he thinks. And love him or hate him, I think we've all got to admit he's really quite an exceptional human being. And I'm extremely grateful that he has made it possible for people to upload much longer videos on X, formerly known as Twitter, because he's really giving YouTube a run for their money. He really is. And I see this morning, now those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that occasionally on and off we've been talking about how to deal with trolls and bots and troll farms and paid manipulation. And really the guy has come up with an excellent solution. I'd like to think he got the idea from me, but I know he didn't. But I said about a few weeks ago, why doesn't he charge everybody $1 to register if they want to comment on Twitter? And that's exactly, he's got a test thing going now in I think New Zealand and the Philippines, where what he said is people who have existing Twitter X accounts, they can continue, they don't have to pay anything. So majority of you guys that are signed up, and this is only happening I think in New Zealand and the Philippines. So I suppose there could be troll farms out there that will sign up a load of free accounts because they're still free in the rest of the world. Because can you imagine if you had 10 million bots? You've not only got to have $10 million now, $1 per bot per year, you've got to have 10 million bank accounts. Awkward. Now, yeah, there are still going to be people who do that, and there are still going to be more advanced and sophisticated bots out there, but it's going to be ever more difficult for people like PR agencies, Sunshine Sachs, or let's say for example Meghan Markle, to buy a load of followers and to arrange all those different identities and all those different bank accounts. That's not going to be as easy as it has historically been. It's going to make it more difficult for political parties. It's going to make it more difficult for enemy states. It's very interesting actually, because I even looked up Christopher Boozy to see what he would think of this. Now, as far as I can tell, he's not openly critical of the idea, other than he's suggesting people should go to Spout Able, you know, that stupid little he's trying to compete with Elon Musk on social media, because he daren't come out and say, oh, that's a nightmare, nobody should pay, because then everybody would be looking at him thinking, well, the only people who are really going to be against this idea are people who've been buying bots. And the whole theory of Boozy is he's created Bot Sentinel to get rid of bots. So he can't say that. And I've read articles in publications that would normally be critical of the idea of paying to go on social media, and I can tell they don't like it, but also in their articles they don't want to be seen as being critical of the idea, because again, they're gonna look like they've been involved in bot farms and troll farms. So it's genius actually, and the fact it's $1 a year. You know, it's not even $1 a month, $1 a year. Basically what Elon is saying is he wants bank details. He wants to know, as he wants to try and prevent bots as much as possible. And I think this will get rid of a lot of them. Not all of them, but the majority, probably 90%. And I was just chatting to Graham, and Graham said, yeah, but I mean, his user levels will go down. Well, I think they have anyway. But then isn't that better when they're real people? What's the point in having loads of followers and loads of people commenting if they're not human beings? It's just a falsification. So I'm really impressed that that he's come up with this idea. I think he probably should have launched it worldwide, because there will be professional PR companies out there that will be registering new Twitter accounts like crazy for free, so that they've got the grandfather rights ready for when they have to pay $1. They also, I mean, for people like Trevor, for example, who's suffered terrible trolling on X, those trolls, they can be reported. When they lose the account from bad behaviour, they've then got to pay $1. So I guess they'll be setting up a load of accounts, but then the troll behaviour, the account can quite easily now, under Elon, it's easier to get an account taken down, demonstrating clear bad behaviour. So by the very nature of the fact that they're a troll, even if they register a load of free accounts today, tomorrow, or before he makes new users pay in our part of the world, they will run out of them eventually. You know, it's a matter of course, it will take time, but they will run out of them. Oh, account suspended. Oh, account suspended. Oh, account suspended. Oh, God, I'm down to my last 5 accounts. Fuck, what do I do? Oops, gone. Oh, I've got to pay $1. And then the identity of the person is known. And then I can see, you know, I can see a light at the end of this tunnel. I can see exactly where Elon's going. Anybody that has a troll problem and they go to the police will be able to go to X and say, give me the details of the person who owns that account. And it leaves a breadcrumb. Even if they try using somebody else's bank details, even if they try, take my word for it, okay, because this is something I do know about, you cannot just set a bank account up in a fake name without leaving a breadcrumb. That in itself is a skill, a whole skill set, all of its own. Don't ask me how I know that. So really what Elon has done overnight is he has gone a long way to curing problems that police forces have all over the world. When they have people phone up saying, I've got a stalker, I've got a troll, I've got someone harassing me on Twitter, he has actually set a standard. And I believe other social medias will probably follow suit in a year or two. They'll sit off and they'll watch and see how the experiment goes. I mean, Facebook is a little different because Facebook, the theory of it is you put your real name, real face, real identity, relatives, friends, etc. Obviously, there are bots on Facebook. There are false identities on Facebook that troll. That's the purpose of it. So Facebook may well say, well, you've already given out your real identity on our platform. Maybe they won't even charge something. They'll just say you've got to put bank details in order to be able to comment. So that's the thing. Elon is saying anyone can have an X account for free forever, but they can't write. They can't comment unless they pay the $1. So it's very clever, actually. They can't join in unless they reveal their identity to the platform. I believe a lot of the platforms will do this. Maybe some of them will do it for 1 cent a year. Maybe some of them will do it completely free. Maybe some of them will do it $10 a year. I don't know. But then they will, now this is interesting, they will not only have the real identity of the person, I can also envisage in the future a fining system being added to terms and conditions. Think about it. For example, I mean, you could probably even end up with social media tribunals, where someone would complain about something you've said on a social media, and the platform would say, well, we want to take the accused and the accuser, and we'll have like a little tribunal. They might even put it to the vote of the general community, guilty, not guilty. And in the event, I mean, this is just Fiona's wild imagination, okay? This isn't actually happening, this part, guys. This is how my brain works. You might actually end up with, because you've had to give your bank account to pay the $1, for example, you're found guilty by all the thumbs down, or you're found innocent by all the thumbs up as a general learning community, and you might be fined. It might be in their terms and conditions. We can fine you $50, we can fine you $100. You shouldn't have said that on a tweet. That would then mean, and I mean, we really are going into Fiona's crazy world now, that would mean that the actual justice system in the real world would become ever less relevant, and that there is a new justice system forming on social media. Wow. That's a really scary thought, isn't it? Lynch mobs galore. But he has said also that he feels that X is a collective learning of society. Now, Elon interests me a lot because about 10 years, 20 years ago, long time ago, I was really into reading the Bible. It's just random parts of the Bible. And I was always particularly fascinated by the book of Revelations. Any of you who have read Revelations may or may not know where I'm going with this thought. But I have been looking out for a certain individual for a very long time who I always felt would be quite prominent, charismatic, charming, would fix all the world's problems so everybody loved him, and then he would reveal who he really is. And I've got my eye on Elon because I have never seen anyone as exceptional as him. So, I don't know, read the book of Revelations, tell me what you think. He ticks all the boxes for me, he really does. If you read the book carefully, really read the description of what's predicted to come. And a very talented guy. And he comes across as a lot of fun, almost very childlike. He's more or less the same age as me, so I think we sort of grew up, same kids' TV shows, same toys and stuff. And I often see him tweeting about, you know, referencing his childhood, and I totally relate to his childhood completely. And he has quite an incredible family as well. So, very interesting guy. And I think he might have just changed the world, actually. Hopefully for the better, possibly for the worst. I mean, the other day I was listening to Meghan and Harry on the stage going on about social media, and I think they both said social media is not going anywhere. Well, of course it bloody isn't. I mean, did they ever think that they were going to get rid of it? Harry went on and said a couple of really strange things. He was trying to address owners of platforms, and I'm suspecting he was really trying to address Elon. Firstly, he stopped himself and used the word please. Now, that's a first. I've not heard Harry talk like that before. It's normally arrogance and demands. But for the first time he said, I would say to platform owners, please, could you prevent certain people from posting certain things on social media? How would you feel if your children were to see the same stuff? And I'm guessing he's talking about stuff to do with him. And then he went on and said an astonishing thing. You know, when the guy doesn't want to be thought of as a dimwit to the world, he went on and said, I mean, okay, maybe the shareholders will get a little less money, but they need to accept that. And I thought, Harry, do you have any idea how stocks and shares work? Right. Anyway, so, I mean, it's easy for a Windsor to say, isn't it? Oh, just go and pluck some more money off the money tree. The guy really doesn't think things through at all, does he? And speaking of Harry, and I'm going to ask Graham if he can edit this in, I just want your opinions on what you think of the young gentleman who is going to be portraying a young Prince Harry in the latest season of The Crown. So, I mean, I feel he bears absolutely, not only absolutely no resemblance to Harry. It's almost as if Netflix are trolling him. I mean, tell me what you think. I'm not that keen on the kid who's, the way the kid looks who's playing William. So anyway, and on the subject of The Crown, right, I know a lot of people are critical of the whole thing, the Netflix and The Crown thing, but I think that they do deserve some credit in that they have most definitely increased the interest in the British royal family. None of us are ever going to know what conversations go on in private. The way I view The Crown is it's an imaginary world, and they're taking me on an imaginary journey of what they imagine was said and done. I know some people take it as fact, but you're going to get people like that everywhere, aren't you? I mean, there are some people who hear a YouTuber say something or an Instagrammer say something, and that's it, their mind's made up. You know, my favourite Instagrammer said that, my favourite YouTuber said that, therefore that is the law. You're going to get people like that. It's all part of the big learning curve of the World Wide Web, isn't it? And we all play a part in that. So I do enjoy The Crown. It is very nicely made. I wasn't so keen on the last one. I took them ages to make, and yet it felt so rushed. And it's always impossible when they try portraying Diana, always, because she was so well known to us all. We had seen her from every camera angle. We knew all the intricacies of her face and her expressions more than anybody else in the world. So it's an impossible task. The last couple of girls who portrayed her really have captured something of her, but it's still, you know, it's not enough. And I see people being critical because they're apparently going to have her come back as a ghost talking to Charles in this latest season. Now, that, you know, shocking headlines, you know, shock horror and all that, Diana as a ghost. But until I've actually seen what they're going to do, I can't really judge. You know, I'm not just going to go ahead and condemn them for that, because there is artistic license. And the other thing is, we on our team can't scream for free speech and freedom of expression and at the same time condemn Netflix, who are a creative production company. We can't criticise and try and stifle and censor them for showing artistic impression and the way they see it. But it most definitely has. I think it helped a lot of people around the world understand Her Late Majesty a lot more, especially Claire Foy's portrayal of her. I thought that was excellent, because again, when I first heard about The Crown and I saw Claire Foy, I thought, no chance, because again, Her Late Majesty, who is someone we saw all the time. We got to know all the intricacies of her face. You know, we could tell she's not amused about that, or we could tell she thought that was knockdown funny. And you get to know them, really, in a way, over so many years. So, I mean, I just thought, what an impossible task, and I can't believe what a sterling performance Claire Foy did. Really brilliant. Really, really brilliant. So, but I mean, this Harry one, it looks like a lazy selection. I mean, is that young man a redhead, or have they dyed his hair red, or is he wearing a wig? But he looks nothing like Harry. Harry was sort of very... well, he was a lad, and quite often he'd have his head down and we'd see him like cheeky smile and stuff. Oh, I hope they're not going to make him out looking like a victim and stuff, because yes, he's had his lows, but he also has had his highs. Interesting. And also, I see yet another article today in Pink Vanilla. And this one is written a lot more strongly about Meghan going to be on the Kardashians, or Meghan and Harry. And I'm going to make a prediction right now, which could be full of shit, could be totally wrong, but I do kind of think Harry is going to move back to the UK. I do. And I think Meghan is most likely going to end up on the Kardashians, or she wants to. And I did listen to that podcast between, was it NT and Kinsey Scofield? I'll put a link to that here as well. I wasn't always a fan of Kinsey Scofield, because I felt when I first heard of her that she was really falling for a lot of the Meghan PR. But she's grown on me a lot, and she has a podcast called To Die For. It's a very interesting listen, and the guy that runs the website Crazy Days and Nights and, you know, Blind Items and all that, he is a fascinating guy, fascinating, and thank you to lots of you who recommended that I watched that, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's about an hour long, and I was totally gripped. And there's something about his voice and the way he talks that I found very reassuring. See what you think. So that's quite a few links I've got to put in the description. Hope you're all having a fabulous day. I'd love to know what you think on all array of subjects today. It's quite nippy here today. Got a jumper on. First time after the summer. It's going to be quite cold now, and I'll have to get on with my roof. Thank you very much for listening.